So, as everyone's starting to wander back in, we're going to start moving because we do have a great closing keynote by Vincent John Vincent at the end of this 45-minute session. We're already 5 minutes into it. Our session is on social, local, and mobile. So we got a great bunch of panelists who are going to introduce themselves momentarily. As I mentioned beforehand, Todd was initially supposed to moderate this. He had some health issues. He wasn't able to travel here from St. Paul, Minnesota. So through the marvels of technology, I'm very loud? Okay. I'm probably getting picked up on multiple mics. Thank you. We have him. He's going to help co-moderate now. So first of all, a big round of applause for Todd for taking time to come in via Skype. And he's got his socialized t-shirt on, so hey, yeah, double well. We're going to start with introductions. I'm going to let Dawn, and we'll work our way this time down the line here. Yeah, we'll let you be first for a change. Hi, Dawn.
Hi. Oh. Random voice in the room. Hi, I'm Dawn Wentzell. I work for a mobile app development company called SpeakFeel. We have offices in Toronto and an hour west of here in Guelph. We are a mobile app development agency. We build enterprise-level apps for clients, either B2B, B2C, whatever, games, consumer-facing, or internal tools for their team. We also have a product side, and next week we're actually launching our first product called Joe Mobi. It's a WordPress plugin that creates a mobile app of your website.
Perfect. Rami?
My name is Rami Lama. I work for Sapien Nitro, and I lead the mobile practice. And just a little bit about Sapien Nitro and what we do. We do a lot of things. I don't really know how to articulate it. It's kind of funny that I work there and I don't know how to really spell it out. But we pretty much look at everything from concepts and strategies to journeys and customer experiences down to the technology and the platforms and the operations of. So we try and be a full service as best as we can, and we're leading the mobile practice out of Toronto, which is great, and doing a lot of fun things in the mobile space.
Great. Now we have Susie, who, by the way, I know her through Twitter chat, just going back a couple sessions ago, who came in all the way through Winnipeg.
I did, and my name is Susie Parker. I run my own consulting firm, Sparker Strategy Group, and we specialize in mobile strategies, digital strategies, social media strategy, marketing, and PR.
And we got Isabelle. Hey.
My name is Isabelle. I work for Flurry. Flurry is a mobile analytics and advertising company, and we're currently the largest mobile analytics company on iOS and Android.
Okay, and we got my buddy Aaron.
So I want to thank Alan. Actually, this is my first time speaking in Canada. I'm Canadian, but I've been in the US for the past 5 years as an SEO director for a large agency in Los Angeles. And recently I've switched into being a private consultant, and I do a lot of speaking gigs. And I work mostly in search and music and social and things like that.
Aaron, welcome back to your homeland.
Thank you very much.
He's from Penetanguishing, about 2 hours north of here, so.
Penetanguishing,
Shamrock's out of Owen Sound here, so there we go. Actually, I got this off the internet yesterday, or 2 days ago, from thenextweb.com. There's some interesting stats which may preface things. They did a survey of 13 to 24-year-olds. It's a huge list. I'll try putting it up on my blog for the weekend. But one of the interesting ones, where was this here? 21% of teens who do not otherwise go online say they access the internet on their cell phones. Now that was an interesting stat that jumped out at me. And then of course that 75% of 12 to 17-year-olds own cell phones. And then interesting stats on 46% play games, 64% share pictures, percentage of videos. So there were some interesting stats in here, which is going to lead me to my first question, and I think Todd's going to question it. Businesses are like all social media. They're trying to figure this thing out. You know, you take out the phone. I can't remember the last, how I'm using my phone probably 90% for non-talking. And that's a growing trend. So when businesses are trying to embrace this mobile world, this social world, and they're all now GPS coordinated, what should businesses try to do to embrace this market better? And I guess I want to phrase it. Should they only be focusing on the smartphones, or should they now be considering the other devices such as tablets You know, laptops are a mobile device. People travel with them, and it's a different method of distribution. How can they build a business model really to embrace that whole mobile market? Should they be focused on one app platform, or should they try to cover it all? Anybody want to jump in on that one?
I mean, I'm happy to jump in really quick, and I think the bigger challenge for many companies is not really looking at or understanding what the intersection is between social, mobile, and local. In part, I think it's redefining what local is. I mean, am I local just because I'm on a screen? You know, is a person who's following us on Twitter and not at the conference local? You know, it's like a person who goes to an exotic resort and has this experience and then flies back home. You know, how do you continue that experience in terms of dialogues or other types of communication or information sharing, whether it's, you know, branded content or otherwise? So, you know, I think for clients, it's generally, you start where you started with social. Why did you get into social? And use that insight and knowledge and, you know, customer feedback and look at why do we need to get into mobile. Woohoo! But, you know, I'd love to hear from Don. I mean, you know, I don't think a lot of, you know, companies think about mobile first. Is that your experience?
Yeah, they definitely don't think of mobile first. Mobile is an afterthought. It's some employee has tried to visit their website on their BlackBerry and it just barfs all over the screen and looks horrible. For most medium to small businesses, mobile is not their main concern. But it should be. Every company, their website should be accessible on a mobile phone, because you're gonna, if it's not, you're gonna start losing visitors, losing your brand influencers, and alienating your best customers. So absolutely, every business needs to think about it. Just making the basic contact information and company information available as a place to start. And then from there, moving on to, okay, how do I want to address, you know, the tablet users? Because tablets are often considered mobile devices, but the data shows that most people use tablets from their couch. And tablet users convert and purchase a lot more than a mobile phone user would. Again, because they're from their couch, they're not actually at a remote location on the go, that sort of thing. And then from there, you can sort of look at, okay, is there any way that a mobile app can help my marketing efforts? Can I provide a tool to my customers or my users that will help engage them with my brand further?
Cool. Hey, let me jump to Ravi and Susie. And Susie, if you wouldn't mind, I'd love for you to start. So how do you recommend strategies to a client that include social, mobile, and local?
It goes back very much so to what you said, in that, is your customer really local or global, and what about the experience? So having launched my company recently, my website's fairly brand new. So when I was designing my website, mobile was at the top of mind for me. And when I went to my web team, I said, I need this to be fully accessible mobile. It needs to be as perfect as it is on a desktop, as it is on a tablet, as it is on a smartphone. And we went to the design process with that in mind. And at the end, what we finally created was mind-blowing in terms of how everything was preserved in terms of context, in terms of design. And that's what I tell my clients, is that what is the experience you're looking for your customers to have when they access your site? Are you looking for them to search information? Are they looking to make a purchase? Are they looking to share a link or go to a video? We need to think about what they're doing when they get to your site and create from that point on.
Cool. Hey, so Rami, let me think about tips and techniques now. I mean, kind of getting into the nitty-gritty. I mean, how are your strategies implemented? And, you know, are there some tactical recommendations you can make for the audience to help them in their planning?
Yeah, you know, I'm going to try and flip this over its head and really screw this up.
Cool, I love it. Bring it on, brother.
Because I think now we're sort of at this point where if you don't have a mobile strategy, you've sort of missed the boat. And the reason I say that is because technology as an enabler is now saying, I don't care about your devices anymore. I care about a centralized experience. And they start to look at a holistic, ubiquitous experience. So what I mean by that is the platforms are now allowing us to reach consumers regardless of the platform you're on. So what we're recommending to a lot of our customers now, that a lot of the clients that we have, is you need to define a mobile strategy. You want to get into mobile tactics, and we take a step back and we start to look at the technology and the platforms. We start to look at the CMS. We start to look at the mechanisms they use to reach out to people. And then we start to look at the actual customer journey and understand the experiences they go through. And from that, you start to distill the tactical. So I never look at, I'm going to put myself out of a job as a mobile strategist and say that you should really, you should really not have, you shouldn't have a mobile strategy. You should have a content strategy, a commerce strategy, a marketing strategy. And how you execute that strategy is where you decide where you want to be in terms of mobile. So that's the first thing. Getting into tactical, a lot of people talk about mobile apps versus mobile web. And again, maybe put my foot in my mouth. If anyone tells you that a mobile app is better than mobile web or mobile web is better than a mobile app, then you're talking to the wrong person. And I'll tell you why. The reason you're talking to the wrong person is because they're not looking at the experience first. And a lot of times people jump to a mobile app or they jump to mobile web and they think that's the right thing, but they haven't really looked at the experience and the frame of mind of the user when they're experiencing your content, your brand, your product. And sometimes a mobile app makes sense. Sometimes a mobile site makes sense. Sometimes none of it makes sense. But if you don't start with the journey and the brand strategy, product strategy, commerce strategy, then you're really not going to know what the right mobile experience is. And just to touch on your point about local and global, and it's this other really crazy concept about local and global, I think are one and the same. Because if you're local, you're global. So if I go to Asia and I experience something, it's localized about me. Maybe content that's coming from America, from the Americas, and they're bringing that from a global perspective. From my perspective, it's always local because it's talking to me where I'm at that particular time.
I like that. Hey, so let me jump to Aaron here really quick. And one thing that Rami touched on is kind of this interaction between many different working groups that eventually participate in the implementation of social media. From a search perspective, I mean, where does far casting and near casting jump in, and how do you link the various elements of social media into one coherent plan?
It's a very interesting question. I mean, it depends on the business. I mean, you can't just say every company needs to have a mobile app or every company needs to have a plan in a certain way that's going to happen. You have to research what their customer base is and figure out how you need to reach customers locally and far away. Most companies seem to be looking for a national type of coverage and can usually provide their services across the country that they're in. So generally, most times it's a national thing. So I don't really worry too much about local unless it's something where people will be coming to their place of business and there's only one store in one city. But I think when you first start designing your sites, you should just think, okay, will it work on all the devices, and really not be too concerned about it. Like a laptop is mobile, but I don't walk around carrying it, typing on it. Well, I do sometimes, but you're not walking down the street opening up your laptop, and you probably aren't on an iPad walking down the street. You're probably on a phone. And most people here, as you can see, a lot of people are on their phones right now, so you really need to make sure that the sites work on the phone because a lot of times your laptop battery will die or you just don't have it plugged in, so you need to be able to access it. I've been nerding out on responsive web design. I know it's been around for some time, but lately there's been some interesting support for like IE 7 and 8 using the Google Shiv and whatnot, so you can actually, I've been showing some people today how you just make it so the width of your site is all you have to really worry about, and it changes based on the width as opposed to user agent detection where you're spending time and code on.
Which is something Jeff Zeldman was talking about in 1998 when he was on the Web Standards Project. So liquid design.
Yeah, and now it's starting to be easier to do. It doesn't really cost that much if you do it from the beginning, and maybe don't use Windows.
Like I think it's just going to get crazier from that perspective because like what about your TV? Because we know our TVs are going to do all that stuff, so are our refrigerators.
And your phone's going to be the remote.
Our cars are going to do it, right? So, I mean, with these vehicle programs that are happening in the auto industry, I mean, those head modules are mobile devices. Our hydrometers, our street lights, they're all becoming integrated into this, kind of this ecosystem. We talk about on the retail side, endless aisle and digital signage, and these ideas about being able to go into a store and have a digital experience. So the line between brick and mortar and online is slowly blurring. Any Amazon shoppers how, you know, Best Buy cannot stand you people because you go into the Best Buy and you're scanning and buying Amazon product and using Best Buy as the catalog, and they don't like that. So they're trying to bridge the digital, and so in terms of responsive design and these kinds of things, and starting to look at more of a ubiquitous implementation across multi-channel is, I think, where you need to go and focus less on what do I do about mobile, because you'll flush that out anyway in that strategy.
Alan, do you want to jump in?
I'm going to throw something at Isabelle right now because of Flurry engagement into the mobile app measurement. And I know one of the measurements you have, and I'm not going to ask for specific clients, is the nature of the device. What are you seeing as the split of mobile devices, like using these apps? Percentage tablet versus phones. I'm not asking, you know, which phone. What kind of split are you seeing out there? And then you can add onto that, how are your clients who use these apps using that information?
So we are skewed a little bit because we are kind of restricted to the native apps. So, you know, first of all, I think we can just talk about the general market in general. That, I mean, I think everyone knows it's growing. Sometimes we don't realize how much it's growing. Flurry, for example, tracks about now 450 million active users on a monthly basis. So you have 450 million different people that access every month basically their smartphones to open an app. Regarding the split between tablets and phones, I would say that right now we're probably at about something like 15-20% tablets, and the rest about 75% on phones. The tablets are gaining a lot of kind of momentum because they're not necessarily replacing the phones. Of course, they're like, you know, in addition to the market. So that's what we also see, for example, with, you know, the numbers are growing, but there's also all devices that are being replaced on the smartphone market. People that used to have iPod Touches, first generation iPhones are being replaced by the new generation ones. And then, of course, in the tablets, you know, the Kindle and also the new Android tablets are definitely gaining a lot of momentum. So I think pretty soon we'll get to a 70-30% split.
Very interesting. Anybody want to comment about how their strategies are being impacted by numbers like that, or will be impacted?
I mean, we're trying to shift the tablet over onto the PC side, at least from our perspective.
Okay, so it's a move off PCs into the tablet world.
I mean, the tablet market doesn't cannibalize the mobile phone market. The tablet market's cannibalizing the laptop, desktop market. And, you know, our baby boomers are getting to an age, and they want a tablet. They don't want the complexities of a PC. So that's a way of looking at it. And
all they're using it for is email and Facebook. You don't need a whole computer for that.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. So for the typical home user who, as John just said, is doing email, Facebook, why did you just spend $300-400 on a laptop?
Yeah, exactly.
Put it towards a tablet that you can do a lot more on.
Just get a tablet.
Interesting thought.
Hey, Alan, just to reinforce with the audience, we are using SocializeConf as the hashtag. If you've got a question, please post on Twitter or raise your hand so Alan can come and give you the mic.
That's what I was about to say. So
awesome.
I got the mic. So any questions out here today? Well, no questions. All right, I'm going to go to one of my questions here. I think everybody's just getting tired after a long day. Oh, we're going to go for this one, Mike. Apps like Foursquare. As many people out there call them, the stalker apps. Do you see a backlash on apps like that, these check-in apps that are broadcasting all this information? We sat, if you were here this morning when we had the legal panel about privacy, and also, you know, some of these stats about what the, you know, 13 to 17-year-olds are doing scare me as a parent. You know, they're broadcasting absolutely everything. Do you see a societal backlash against this when, God forbid, some real major disaster happens, or is we're just going to go, well, that's the future. Too bad. Eric, you got.
All right. Well, it's all about education. I've been saying, like, you have to understand, like, how you can enable and disable your location settings on your device. So it's pretty simple. On, you know, on your iPhone, you can totally turn off location and set it to each app. You have to understand that Facebook's allow your friends to check you in is something you can have turned on or off. If you don't know that, go learn how to set all your privacy settings and understand it. Will there be a backlash? I don't care if there's a backlash that much. I mean, if you're stupid enough to let people know where you are, you're on Facebook, you should know by now that security and privacy is available. And if you don't know, ask someone who knows and figure it out. I mean, a backlash. I don't see that happening. I do see a lot of user education happening as people make mistakes. Hopefully, they learn from others' mistakes instead of their own.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's going to be a backlash, but I think all the apps, whether it's Facebook or anything else, are doing a horrible job, as Vasila this morning was mentioning, and explaining to people that privacy policies have changed. And by the way, we have added all these new privacy settings, and by default, privacy's off.
Yeah, the onus has to be on the user, because it's not in the best interest of these applications and networks to tell you that. That would alienate their user base. So the onus has to be on the user as to what data they are willing to share.
So, but should some responsibility then be put on the app developers to at least say, if you want to?
Yes. Will that happen? Probably not.
Unless governments get involved.
Yeah, exactly.
It affects experience. The app may require, your location to have it be useful. And it's coming that you turn it off because you're scared, and now it's kind of, you can't tell where you are, and it makes Foursquare kind of lame.
And going back to the onus on the user, definitely, like in terms of safety and usability. For just one example, don't check into your house.
Yeah.
Please don't check into your house. We know you're the mayor of your house. You live there. You don't need to tell me where you live. You don't need to check in every time you leave the house and you come back. It's okay. And me as a mother, on Twitter, I never talk about my children. I don't post their pictures on Twitter. I don't use their names on Twitter. I don't talk about their ages on Twitter, because it's very easy for someone to scoop those names and get a SIM card with their birth date, start a credit card with their name on it, and their lives are ruined. On Facebook, I admit that I'm more open there because the people that I'm connected with, I am friends with.
You sure?
That's the thing, right? The privacy settings are on me. However, you have to do due diligence, right? So do things like check your credit report often. Do things like run things on your kids' names. And don't geotag your pictures when you're with the kids at the park. My girlfriend and I were just talking about an example yesterday. I believe it was 2020 that did a show that followed a woman home from the park and basically said, we know that you go to this park, we know that your child goes to this school, you pick him or her up around 3:30 or 4, and we know that you take this route home. She was blown away by how much they knew, just by watching her photos and where she checked in on Foursquare. So be aware, there's buttons on Foursquare where you know that you can share on Facebook or Twitter. Don't connect everything. Be more discerning about what you share and how you share it. And who you share it with.
Well, one of the nice things, and I think you mentioned it quickly, and may have missed people, is as a parent, set a Google alert on your child's name, and hopefully it's not, John Smith, then you're in real trouble. But if you have a little bit more of an unusual, or then you may want to preface it about a location, not only are you going to find out if someone's talking about your child, you may find out what they're saying.
And don't check into your child's school when you pick them up.
Definitely not. That's another one.
People do that all the time, though.
Scott Stratton says, don't tweet about anything you don't want seen on a billboard. The same thing goes for Facebook, for Foursquare. Don't check into somewhere if you're not comfortable having that posted on a billboard.
Bottom line, there's drugs, alcohol, and pornography. And it's out there. And it's up to us to choose how we deal with it and how we consume it. We all drink, but we know we have to balance that. And it's the same thing with how much you engage in social. And to be honest with you, I try and be cognizant of it as best as I can when I do anything in social. My fear is how much I'm giving to the grid. Because, Facebook has a lot of, and I'm kind of being, flip-flopping here, but, Facebook and these organizations have a lot of information about you personally also. So you do put a lot of your stuff there for Facebook themselves. And I don't know if that's going to become, because I think that may be more of the issue in the future, because we'll become more responsible in terms of who we share information with personally. Like, I may not share it with you, I may want to share it with you, but what happens with organizations and their ability to abuse that, or hackers to tap into Facebook and abuse that information?
Aaron has a comment, and then we have a question out here.
Real quick, the thing about not checking in your house is very good to do, but if you check in that you're gone to another city, people can rob you. So just remember that too.
Yeah, what was it? Mecca wants to remember, criminals know how to use Twitter as well.
Yeah, so just keep that in mind. Burglary is another.
And it's who you let friend you and follow your Foursquare updates too. So I use the same philosophy as you don't get to follow me unless I know who you are.
Yeah.
All right, we got a question here.
Hi there. I work for a tourism organization in southern Ontario, and I promote a whole county full of 25 towns. And I've seen a lot of growth in the area of mobile marketing, Foursquare check-ins, my account's off, off the charts, Facebook Place check-ins. You can see these things growing. So I've chosen a town on the Lake Huron shoreline, Kincardine or Port Elgin, one of those, and the arts communities, galleries there are willing to go out and mobile check in all the businesses in the downtown core and add deals to each of these so that we can proceed at a municipal level to measure to see if it's worthwhile going further with mobile marketing in those areas. Do you think that would be a good approach, an easy approach to get a base measurement of the worthwhile nature after we've seen it is starting to take place? People are starting to play the gamification models in those areas, but try just to push it a bit, get a couple students to go out with some cell phones and mark them all, tag them all, and then maybe do a little PR around it?
Are you sure your customers haven't tagged them already?
Not all of them.
Okay.
But I should, yeah.
You should check that because I guarantee they're doing the work for you.
Yes.
When I go to a new place and it's not on Foursquare, I sit there, I go at the address, I put the pin on the little map and tell everyone else where it is, and I think to myself, oh, I just shared this with all my friends and they're going to come to this place. So your customers are doing a lot of the work for you. Now that being said, you can go through the formal process of claiming your business on Foursquare, but what you might want to do too is do a check of that area, see which businesses are claimed, and all you have to do is do a mock check-in and it'll pull up all the areas that have been dinged basically. And you can throw in special offers and even special greetings to the people that check in areas around you or around those areas, right? So don't do all the legwork first. See how much legwork's already been done for you. Make it easy.
Yeah, to offer our free travel kits.
Absolutely.
Link to the beaches so when people are lying there, then all of a sudden our...
Listen to the community. Listen to what they're asking for, too.
We are doing a lot of work on behalf of, we as customers are doing a lot of work on behalf of companies right now, simply by participating in social, talking about them, putting them on maps, fixing their information on places like Foursquare, and telling them to update their bios on Twitter. Like we are paying attention.
Thank you.
I would almost take that a step further. As a Foursquare user, and I was in Port Elgin last summer, and it was a rainy day, and I was bored, and go a step further and promote the locations that you've got on Foursquare and the fact that some of them have deals. Because I didn't know what there was to do in Port Elgin, I didn't think to look at my Foursquare and see what was going on. I don't know what things there are to do in Port Elgin on a rainy day when you're camping. So go a step further to the tourists because it is such a big tourist area, and actually promote the fact that yes, we're engaging in this and we want to engage you as a user in our community.
Great. We have another any question?
Yeah, thanks, folks. You gave some great advice when it comes to security settings and what not to do. I'm just curious. I market to the legal community. I'm a bit of a geek as well. I'm just wondering if I could see by a show of hands who actually reads license agreements before they click through them.
First or second page.
So, as everyone's starting to want